The drama begins with Shen Sifan, the female lead who has just been promoted to hotel room manager. Although the promotion is a professional milestone, the heavy responsibilities and endless demands of her new role weigh on her, and the strain of balancing her career with her personal life soon makes her long-standing insomnia even worse. Each night, she lies awake, her mind restless with racing thoughts. By morning, her mother often finds her lying listlessly on her yoga mat, her eyes heavy with fatigue, and immediately knows she has been unable to sleep again. Deeply worried about their daughter's health, Shen Sifan's parents suggest she seek help from traditional Chinese medicine. Reluctant but obedient to their concern, she visits a local clinic. On the introduction board, she notices that every doctor has a photograph, except for one, a physician named He Suye. Shen Sifan decides to see him. As she approaches the consultation room, she nearly bumps into a tall man stepping out. He quickly apologizes in a polite and gentle tone, asking if she is all right. Though she assures him she isn't hurt, she finds herself taken aback by his appearance. Intrigued, she can't resist calling her friend afterward, gushing about the doctor with the beautiful eyes she just encountered. Knowing Sifan's history of being drawn to attractive men, her friend teases her and encourages her to find a way to confirm his looks, perhaps even persuading him to remove his mask. When Suye returns and asks whether she has an appointment, Shen Sifan glances at the name stitched onto his lab coat and realizes he is indeed the mysterious doctor. She follows him inside for her consultation. Despite her exhaustion, her professional instincts kick in. She unconsciously begins evaluating him as if rating a person's qualities. His calm, steady voice, his composed demeanor, and his presence. As he takes her wrist to measure her pulse, he notices her distracted state and gently tells her to stop overthinking so he can make an accurate reading. Wanting to understand the root of her insomnia, he asks if something has been troubling her. Instead of answering, Shen Sifan avoids his question and boldly asks if he could remove his mask. His response is polite but firm. He declines without lifting it. Frustrated by her failed attempt, Shen Sifan resigns herself to the situation. She leaves with her prescription and schedules a follow-up appointment. However, she unknowingly leaves behind a small origami frog she had folded from her appointment slip. The tiny paper figure catches Suye's attention and leaves a quiet impression on him. Just as Sifan steps out, Suye suddenly rushes after her. This time, his mask is removed and his full face is revealed. The sight stuns Shen Sifan, who is so caught off guard by his striking features that she barely registers his instructions about picking up her medicine. On her way home, she replays the encounter in her mind. Her thoughts wander from the gentle reminder Suye gave her to memories of her ex-boyfriend, Yan Heng, a man who constantly complained and criticized her during their relationship. Almost without thinking, she sends Yan Heng a message, though he never replies. Meanwhile, back at the clinic, Suye, who normally devotes his practice to elderly patients, finds himself unusually affected by Shen Sifan. Unlike any other case he has handled, hers lingers in his thoughts. Captivated by her presence from the very first meeting, he begins to pay special attention to her condition, treating her insomnia with a care and focus that goes beyond the professional. For the first time in a long while, he feels something stir within him, drawn irresistibly to the woman who walked into his life by chance. That same night, at the affiliated hospital of Jiangsu University of Chinese Medicine, an elderly patient is rushed in with severe respiratory distress caused by advanced lung cancer. Li Ji, Suye's junior colleague, immediately calls for his assistance. After the emergency, when Suye finally returns to his office, he notices the tiny origami frog Shen Sifan had left behind and smiles faintly at the small, whimsical gesture. Meanwhile, across town, Shen Sifan tosses and turns through yet another sleepless night. The following morning, Shen Sifan stops at a bakery near her home to buy breakfast. While waiting, she records a voice message to her friend, venting her frustration that the prescribed medicine hasn't helped. Just as she finishes, a familiar voice interrupts her. He Xie, standing behind her, calmly explains that Chinese medicine takes time, and consistency is key. Embarrassed yet grateful, she thanks him quickly and hurries out. He Xie lingers a moment longer, asking the shop owner if she often comes there. When the owner mentions that she lives in the neighborhood, a smile spreads across his face as he realizes they are, in fact, neighbors. At work, Shen Sifan buries herself in hotel management duties. During a break, she finally receives a long-awaited message from her boyfriend, Yan Heng. Excited, she responds immediately, but her message is met with silence. Later, over lunch with her friends, one of them asks about the handsome doctor she had mentioned before. With a shy smile, Sifan begins describing his features, confirming aloud that he is even more attractive than she had imagined. Her friend Xu Xiangya's curiosity is instantly piqued, and she insists on accompanying Sifan to her next appointment just to see him for herself. When the day of the follow-up arrives, the two women go together to the clinic, only to find that He Xie isn't seeing patients that day. Instead, his grandfather, Yu Liren, is the doctor in charge. Slightly disappointed, they leave and settle into a mall cafe over milk tea. There, Xu Xiangya gently probes about Shen Sifan's relationship with Yan Heng. Sifan admits that although they haven't officially broken up, their bond feels hollow, as if they've already drifted into strangers. On her way home, Sifan buys a bouquet of flowers, only to unexpectedly spot Hsuye skateboarding outside their neighborhood. Waving the flowers in greeting, she calls out to him, telling him she had gone to her appointment but was surprised to find him absent. She adds that she'll return next week and looks forward to meeting him again. For a moment, Hsuye nearly asks her to add him on WeChat, but before he can find the courage, Sifan flashes a smile and walks away. Later that evening, Hsuye drives with Li Jai to his grandfather's house in the suburbs. Yu Liren, the elderly physician who treated Sifan earlier, has invited his graduate students over for dinner and a Q&A session. After the gathering, grandfather and grandson sit alone. Yu Liren mentions that a girl had come for her appointment earlier and seemed disappointed when she found Hsuye absent. Speaking with warmth, he admits that he found her kind and pleasant, and even suggests she might be a good match, noting she is 4 years younger than his grandson. Although Hsuye secretly harbors feelings for Shen Sifan, he hesitates. At 31, shaped by his mother's difficult past, he is cautious about relationships. He doesn't want to rush into something he might not be ready to take responsibility for. Understanding his grandson's hesitation, Yu Liren wisely lets the matter rest, choosing not to push further. Meanwhile, thanks to her prescribed medicine, Shen Sifan begins to notice a marked improvement in her sleep. For the first time in weeks, she wakes refreshed and energized, able to approach her work with renewed spirit. But her fragile peace is short-lived. At the end of one workday, she receives a message from Yan Heng, asking her to meet him outside the hotel. When she steps out, she is surprised to see him waiting with a bouquet of flowers. She accepts the gesture and agrees to dinner. At the restaurant, she snaps photos of the beautifully presented dishes as soon as they arrive. Yan Heng, watching her absorbed in her phone, grows irritated. His frustration boils over, and he begins criticizing her priorities, her work, her ambitions to study abroad, and even her dedication to her career. Each sharp word feels like another wound. Shen Sifan listens silently, her heart aching as the realization sinks in. The sweet love they once shared in university has long since soured. That night, she returns home in tears, feeling belittled and small. In a quiet moment of vulnerability, she hints at her desire to break up to her shocked parents. Later, she sits outside alone, spooning ice cream and trying to numb the ache. She sends Yan Heng another message, but as always, there is no reply. The memory of his harsh words replays in her mind, and the pain brings fresh tears to her eyes. By chance, Hee-soo-ye, skateboarding nearby, notices her sitting alone and crying. Concerned, he slows down and joins her on the bench. His quiet presence and gentle words bring her comfort. When he learns she has a boyfriend, a flicker of disappointment flashes across his face, but he quickly composes himself. Though disheartened, he chooses to remain by her side, silently offering support. Hee-soo-ye gently advised Shen Si-fan to press the Tanjong acupoint, explaining that it could help ease emotional stress. With a calm smile, he reminded her that heartache needs the heart's own medicine, and even suggested a simple remedy, hanging an apple by her bedside so its natural fragrance could help her sleep. They exchanged goodnight wishes, and while Zifan returned to her room with a softer mood, she still couldn't help sending a message to Yan Heng, hoping he would finally talk with her sincerely. The next day, Shen Zifan returned to the clinic for her follow-up appointment. Hee-soo-ye had noticed immediately that her symptoms had worsened instead of improving. Frowning slightly, he reminded her not to keep her emotions locked inside, urging her to release them before they became too heavy. After prescribing medicine, he carefully administered acupuncture. The gentle rhythm of his voice and his attentiveness created a subtle, ambiguous atmosphere between them. Relaxed by the treatment, Zifan unexpectedly drifted into sleep. Considerate as always, Hee-soo-ye drew a curtain around her and set an alarm so she would not be disturbed. When she awoke 2 hours later, she was startled and a little embarrassed that she had slept so long in the middle of her appointment. Apologizing for troubling him, she found him entirely unbothered. Instead, he handed her a small sachet of herbs he had prepared himself. As she walked home, her heart felt lighter, the day suddenly brighter. That evening, however, her happiness was shattered. A message from Yan Heng arrived like a thunderclap. After much thought, he believed they should break up. Shocked and blindsided, Chiffon tried calling him again and again, only for him to reject every call. Though he refused to speak with her, he still did not delete her contact. Heartbroken, she cried in silence, but after a brief period of despair, she picked herself up and returned her focus to work, refusing to let his coldness destroy her. On Saturday, overwhelmed with work, Shen Sifan missed her follow-up appointment. At the clinic, Hee-soo-ye scanned the appointment list, and not seeing her name, asked Xiaosun at reception about her. Learning that she hadn't come, he quietly pulled up her registration number and, under the pretense of follow-up care, sent her a package of freshly prepared medicine along with licorice he had dried himself. That night, he texted her, gently suggesting she try licorice water instead of milk tea. Meanwhile, Shen Sifan, who hadn't seen him at the clinic, reached out first. They agreed to meet at the hospital's herbal garden. There, among rows of medicinal plants, Zifan discovered that Hee-soo-ye was actually a doctor in the oncology department. He gave her a tour, and the two eventually sat together on a bench. With calm precision, he checked her pulse and asked about her condition. She avoided mentioning her recent breakup, instead speaking lightly of her workload. Respecting her silence, he didn't press further, and instead they shared easy conversation before he wrote her a new prescription, reminding her once again to take care with her diet. As she prepared to leave, she turned back to thank him for his time, and he answered with a faint, almost shy smile. They agreed to meet again the following Saturday. That night, Chiffon posted a photo of the herbal garden on her Moments. Seeing it, Hee-soo-ye messaged her, teasingly asking why she was still awake. With a wrinkled nose, she drank his bitter prescription, her face scrunching up like a steamed bun, and quickly checked the ingredients online before replying to him. Their conversation unfolded playfully, almost like two schoolchildren teasing each other, with a hint of unspoken warmth beneath the banter. Later in the evening, she ran into Hesuye again. This time, he saw her drinking her medicine and, noticing her discomfort, bought her a pack of peppermint candies. The sweet, cooling taste eased the bitterness, and she thanked him sincerely before they parted ways. The following day, heavy rain fell across Jiangzhou. Hesuye hurried through the storm with his briefcase, trying to stay dry, when he suddenly encountered Shen Sifan under her umbrella. They fell into step together, walking side by side. On impulse, Zifan bought a bouquet of blue tulips from a flower shop and, noticing the fatigue and gloom in his expression, handed them to him as a small token of gratitude for his care. However, trouble soon followed. One afternoon during work, Hisui forgot to wear his mask during a consultation. An elderly patient, amused and curious, secretly filmed him and uploaded the video to the community group. The footage quickly spread, and neighborhood residents began buzzing with speculation. Before long, the clinic was flooded with elderly residents, though not for medical treatment. Each had come with the same purpose: to introduce their daughters to the handsome young doctor, Hesuye. Hesui's workload grew overwhelming. Amid the commotion, Shen Sifan couldn't even secure an appointment. Fortunately, Hisui discreetly arranged a special slot for her, and they agreed to meet instead in the herbal garden. When she learned that Hisaya hadn't eaten lunch, she offered him her sandwich. Accepting it with a sigh, Hisai confessed that it was the first time he had truly felt the suffocating weight of being pushed into matchmaking. Shifan couldn't help but ask how, at 31, this was only now happening to him. Her curiosity about his romantic past grew, but his answer was subtle. He admitted he had simply never met the right person. Later, during her treatment, Hisuye personally performed acupuncture. While Zifan chatted about her busy work life, the soothing rhythm of the needles soon lulled her into a deep, unguarded sleep. When she awoke, she was surprised to find that he had not only made her another sachet, but also prepared a more intricate prescription tailored for her condition. A faint bitterness lingered on her tongue, but her heart softened at his quiet dedication. Wanting to repay his kindness, and recalling how troubled he had been by the matchmaking chaos, Zifan slipped a simple metal ring from her keychain and pressed it into his hand. She suggested, half joking but half serious, that he wear it to pretend he was already married. To their amusement, the trick worked. News spread quickly in the community group, and the elderly women, convinced he was married, began to complain loudly before giving up on their matchmaking attempts. The endless stream of introductions dried up almost overnight. Soon after, Sifan realized she didn't have time to pick up her medicine herself. She asked Tsuye for help and canceled their planned meeting in the herbal garden, explaining that her parents were dining nearby. Later that evening, as Sui waited quietly outside her community gates, medicine in hand. When she asked about the ring she had given him, he feigned a casual shrug, claiming he had lost it. In truth, he had kept it carefully, unwilling to part with the small token from her. Sifan, unsuspecting, accepted his words at face value.